Jim, we made it through our first event. Here we are following the awards ceremony. What do you think of the whole event here at G2? What's your initial impression?
I asked a lot of competitors what they thought of it. It's a new track for everybody. It's a new track in general, and I think the response, not just for the Falcon Tire Road Course, but the Autocross and the Peak Performance Challenge was overwhelmingly positive. People really liked, I think they like spending more time in their cars, and when you do a track cross, autocross format where you're on the track and you kind of do the same thing for the Peak Performance Challenge, it gives them more seat time, and people love that.
This was our first opportunity to really come back and do an event by ourselves where we are the feature event. It's our first opportunity to be back in Texas for a long time. I think for our first time kicking off our 2026 season, I think it went very well. I got some feedback from drivers that they really liked it too.
When you see Dayton Delahousse in his MX-5, and it has an EcoBoost swap in it, and he is within 2 seconds of the track record, and he's on 200 treadwear street tires, and the track record is on slicks, and it's a supercharged C7 Corvette Z06, and this guy's out there in an MX-5 with an EcoBoost swap. These people know what they're doing. Let's talk about the winners. We talked a little bit about Dayton in the Go Moto GTC class. Not really a surprise there. I think when you looked at the field and his dad was in it, and the Garvins were out in their Datsuns, he's been hard to beat ever since Brian Johns took a break from the series. Yep. and Dayton got serious about his build.
And he's a dang good driver. Honestly, he'd be fast in anything you put him in.
At the other end of the spectrum, the No Limit Engineering GTT truck class with the heaviest vehicles, the least aerodynamic vehicles. There's no power to weight advantage with those vehicles, but David Carroll does it again, comes through and such a cool looking truck. The last time I saw that truck, it was doing donuts on a dry lake bed near the Mojave Desert, and he somehow got most of the dirt out of it and brought it all the way over here.
There's probably not a more famous driver-vehicle combination than David Carroll and his Blazer. Because that's a vehicle that 10 times out of 10 you're not going to think of when you think of high-performance car. It never makes the list, right? But he's done so much with it, and he's done it with enthusiasm and creativity. It looks great, he drives it great, and you can't win this event if the car is not really, really great. It has to perform well in all of those. An unbelievable vehicle in which to do that in.
What does it mean to be built with Summit? It means you're hitting the autocross, drag strip, dirt, or open road with confidence. Because built with Summit means you're using parts from the top names in performance. Let's build it together. SummitRacing.com.
Talk about trucks. Bob Sobey, multi-time Ultimate Street Car champion, announced his retirement, and as you mentioned in the awards ceremony, that lasted as long as Tom Brady's did. He's back, and for people who don't know, that's not the same Nissan GTR that he won the USCA championships with.
No, it looks a lot like it. It's got a very similar wrap color combination on it, but when you look up close to the car, that car's a beast. And he got that car from a friend of his that just didn't use it anymore, because running in our Outlaw class, it's a little bit different than what we do, because our Outlaw class doesn't have to do the design and engineering anymore. Bob is a 3-time former champion, Ultimate Street Car Invitational winner. The big trophy, did it 3 years in a row. They only do 4 elements of the 5, and it's really all of our timed elements in the road rally. So it is a real street car, but he's really running the timed elements. And I think for Bob, this is a great way for him to still be part of our series, but still enjoying being quote unquote retired.
Some of us just love going for a drive. Not to get somewhere, but to feel something. The road, the power, the freedom. From the streets to the summit and everywhere in between. Where every RPM, turn of a wheel, and view feels like a victory. That's what drives us to drive you. So you can be confident. When you peak, you win.
The one surprise winner this weekend, and she admitted it herself, Jessica Powers in the GTL class, came about because Austin Barnes was here running his Corvette, dominant in the Peak Performance Challenge and the autocross. He was on pace for a perfect 500-point weekend, had injector issues. They decided to call it a weekend and they shut down early. And then it became a dogfight because the GTL class, once you get past Austin, there's a lot of cars that are really close in proximity to each other, competitively wise.
Right, and when you come to one of these events, it's that competitive, and you never know when someone's going to have a mechanical, and that's why you fight the whole way through, because you have no idea who you might actually be competing with throughout the weekend. The interesting thing about that class was that was a tie. We had our first tie of the season.
It happens throughout the season. It's not like it didn't happen last year. It happened last year a couple times, and even within the segments, two cars that are so different from each other can run so close to each other in time.
And I love the fact that they tied, because then the design and engineering competition really comes into play. That's our tiebreaker. Design and engineering is the heart and soul of what we do. It's what makes us unique and different from every other competitive series out there. And that paid off for Jessica, because that was the tiebreaker, and she won the design and engineering competition.
Big black letters, it says ultimate. I always say we don't ever make any apologies for that. That's what we're pushing for, that's what we're seeking out. That's what the automotive aftermarket wants. They don't want the average street car, they want the ultimate street car. But we don't restrict what people need to do to their cars to be competitive in this series. You know, we really keep it a street car that's functional and gives people flexibility if their plans change in the future, or their tastes change, or their interests change.
What does it mean to be built with Summit? It means you're hitting the autocross, drag strip, road course, trail, dirt, or open road with confidence. Because built with Summit means you're using parts from the top names in performance, priced to make your project affordable. And it's all backed by trusted tech expertise and blazing fast shipping. Summit Racing Equipment. Let's build it together. SummitRacing.com.
What about Brandon Hurst in the GTS class and his Tesla?
I think it's great. You're in trouble when nobody has an opinion. But when people have an opinion, whether it's Dale Earnhardt, you love him or you hate him, Ford versus Chevy, you love one, you hate the other. I feel like that's the case for not just EVs, but Teslas. Elon Musk is a lightning rod, and what people think about him affects how they think about Teslas and the people who own the Teslas, and what were you doing buying a Tesla? You know what? It's an amazing, amazing car right out of the gate, right out of the box, and you saw under the hood. It doesn't look like something from this planet.
It does not.
People say, well, you can't really modify Teslas. Come look at these cars.
Yeah,
They're modified.
It is possible. Modification is possible and encouraged.
Yeah.
On all of these cars, especially Chris Smith's Camaro.
Keep life in drive with Blue Def Platinum. Triple filtered and guaranteed pure. It helps prevent deposits before they create problems, while optimizing fuel economy and avoiding costly repairs. Blue Def Platinum, guaranteed for what drives you.
Chris Smith generally is the car to beat whenever he comes out. He runs in the SpeedTech GTV class in a 1970 Camaro. He was the car to beat again this weekend, and he won, which shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. But he's been challenged throughout the years, and I feel like his son Jason, who was within a thousandth of a second from him on the Peak Performance Challenges, is one of his biggest threats. It's surprising to me a little bit, because their son Colin runs a late model Corvette, that they would run in the same class. You would think a family wouldn't want to compete like that. They'd want to split things up so they don't have to be, like, you're the winner and I'm not because of you. So the GT class for me is where the classic Ford versus Chevy versus Mopar, and we even have some BMW that gets into the mix sometimes. Dave Schatz is here, the winningest driver in NASA racing history, and he's decided to come run with us, and he's on his second Camaro with us, and he's just built a world beater, K-Tech motor in it, and he's legitimately a driver who, in talking with his dad about the opportunities he had when he was younger, he had a chance to be a professional race car driver. He was good enough, NASCAR teams approached him, and that wasn't the path he wanted to take in life, but it's obvious whenever you watch him on the track that he's something special behind the wheel, and he could get into anybody's car, anybody else's car in the field, and probably shave several seconds off of their best time.
Dave is still good enough to drive for a lot of professional teams if he chose to do that. And all of these winners got invited to our invitational. So this is the kind of the culmination of their efforts is to get on the podium and then get that invite to the championship event. How much pressure do you think that takes off for the rest of the season to earn your invite at the very first event of the season? I feel like if the season's gone along and we got the buzz going out and all this kind of stuff and people are hearing about us a lot and seeing us, that entices people to come out. But this is our very first event of the season of a new era of Ultimate Street Car, and we had 15 first-timers.
This is a very accessible series for people to get involved in. Dip your toe in the water, come out to an event, watch it, talk to people who are doing it for the first time and ask them what they think about it, and then see if you can go further with it.